One of the other issues about all that, of course, is that you need to look at so many different levels. I mean, for instance, we've got issues, say, like the Brian Green behaviour in the parliamentary sphere, but then you have questions about probity in the highest levels of the public sector, and then there's also issues there about how some of the government business enterprises work and how various provisions, for instance commercial and confidence, are used to block information and transparency of decision making. So there are a number of levels that need to be looked at, and it looks at the moment as if the attempt is to call it just an ethics inquiry might limit some of that in a way that would actually stop the inquiry from covering all those different levels that need to be addressed.
I'd just like to also include some information. I received a copy of an email from Warwick Gravity, former scientific advisor to the RPDC, and he sent this to Terry Martin recently. He says, "I am deeply concerned about what seems to be the indecent and inappropriate haste with which the Bartlett government is requiring the Parliamentary Joint Select Committee on Ethical Conduct to report. In particular, the closing date for public comment seems entirely inappropriate. Most of my friends in Tasmania are vitally concerned about improving standards of ethical behaviour in the public sector. Yet few of them are even aware of the Select Committee's activities, let alone its timetable. This lack of awareness certainly does not seem right to me." And I think Warwick Gravity really is expressing a view that is held by many Tasmanian citizens who are concerned about this whole process with the inquiry. Warwick Gravity goes on, "In my view, the proper consideration of how to address the lack of public confidence in government in Tasmania that has been brought about by the recent actions of both major political parties in Tasmania requires time and considerable public input. As it goes to the very root of our democracy, it is even more important," he stresses, "than even a large pulp mill in my view. The public need to be educated and fully engaged in the process being undertaken by the Select Committee." And I'll add here that Rick Snell has also made the comment that the Law Reform Institute process does provide for an educative process. So this is where we have, a compatibility of views from both these people. At very least, it will require a dedicated bus tour to tour Tasmanian towns and acquaint each region with the issues and potential solutions under consideration. And he goes on, "I therefore urge you to do everything in your power to persuade your fellow committee members to at least extend the time for public comment and to actively consider a government-funded education program at least as large as the one Mr. Lennon endorsed for the pulp mill proposal." So I just suggest if you want any comment from Warwick Gravity in support of our press conference today, you can certainly contact him, and I have his contact details here. And also I have the contact details for Dr. AJ Brown at Griffith University, who has also offered support to this press conference, as has Tom Baxter, lecturer in corporations law at the university.
Yes, but if you just go down to Salamanca Market or to the mall and you chat to people, people will tell you the most horrifying stories of police corruption, of bureaucrats giving them the runaround, of tribunals which actively discourage people from coming forward, but they probably don't know about this process. And the other problem is that sometimes people want to be assured that there won't be any comeback if they come forward with problems, and there's no guarantee in that process that their identity can be kept secret and that they will be listened to and that they will be taken seriously. I think the whole process is just a quick under the carpet, we've done that, let's move on. I think it's very poor.
I should mention too that the solicitor for Stephen Escort was calling on witnesses to come forward to give evidence to the police inquiry into the allegations of bribery for public office, which are currently under investigation by Tasmania Police. And this is certainly a concern to Whistleblowers Tasmania, that even giving evidence to police inquiries effectively is a formal internal witness disclosure, and these people will not be confident right now in relation to any protection mechanisms which will prevent them from being discriminated against in their workplaces.